Surprise, y'all. Surprise. It turns out every single so-called anti-war MAGA voter and politician, they were completely and utterly full of shit. Not even close, y'all. Not even close. So, as Trump decides to launch yet another illegal and offensive war against a country that didn't attack us, they were no threat to us whatsoever. He fucking kidnapped or abducted a president, did an illegal regime change, and is now bragging that we're going to steal the oil, we're going to take the oil for our oil companies and our billionaires who funded my campaign and are members in Mar-a-Lago. As all that's going on, you would think these principled anti-war right-wingers, they would immediately all come out of the closet, draw hard red. No, not like this, sir. This is not right. Because again, we were told they don't love it. They don't like this stuff. In fact, they hate it. One of the defining characteristics is they're against regime change. Well, again, you're not going to be surprised to learn they were just as full of shit as is humanly possible, and perhaps even worse than I even thought was ever possible. To really like plant your flag and say, I'm all about this, and then immediately backtrack from that when you have like the world's most comical and clear and straightforward example of an illegal regime change. All right, so let's start with Tulsi Gabbard. Tulsi Gabbard came up as a Democrat, originally supported Bernie Sanders, really fancied herself. Her whole brand was, I am the anti-regime change person. That was her whole brand. Here she is. This is literally in October. This is not even that long ago. And listen to what she said at a speech she gave. By the way, she's like the director of national intelligence, I believe, is her title. But so she's part of this Trump regime, and she gave this speech not that long ago, a couple months ago. Listen to what she says.
The old Washington way of thinking is something we hope is in the rearview mirror and something that has held us back for too long. For decades, our foreign policy has been trapped in a counterproductive and endless cycle of regime change or nation building. It was a one-size-fits-all approach of toppling regimes, trying to impose our system of governance on others, intervene in conflicts that were barely understood, and walk away with more enemies than allies. The results? Trillions spent, countless lives lost, and in many cases, a creation of greater security threats. The rise of Islamist terrorist groups like ISIS. President Trump was elected by the American people to put an end to this. And from day one, he has showed a very different way to conduct foreign policy.
Unbelievable. So Michael Tracy says, incredible. Tulsi Gabbard on October 31st, 2025. Bro, that is a blink of an eye ago. She claimed Trump was putting an end to Washington's endless cycle of regime change and nation building. He literally just said we're going to run Venezuela. He's an end to regime change and nation building. Meanwhile, a full-scale regime change op is underway in Venezuela, and Trump has explicitly imposed U.S.-led nation building in Gaza. Okay, right, it gets worse. You think I'm done with Tulsi? I'm not even done with just Tulsi. Never mind the other fucking scumbags and charlatans I'm about to get to. Ready? Tulsi Gabbard has suddenly gone quiet about Venezuela. I wonder why. So let me click this here. So here's stuff Tulsi Gabbard said in the past about Venezuela. The U.S. needs to stop using our military for regime change and stop intervening in Venezuela's military. Throughout history, U.S.-led regime change has been waged in the name of humanitarianism, but has resulted in more suffering, destruction, and lives lost. Hashtag hands off Venezuela. That was all the way back in the ancient medieval times of 2019. All right. It's all about oil again, she said. Bolton just exposed real motive for intervention in Venezuela. Quote, we're in conversation with major American oil companies now. It would make a difference if we could have American companies produce the oil in Venezuela. We both have a lot at stake here. The United States needs to stay out of Venezuela. Let the Venezuelan people determine their future. We don't want other countries to choose our leaders, so we have to stop trying to choose theirs. And then I don't need to read the rest of this, but as you can see, literally every single one of these things is, I'm so against regime change in Venezuela. It's so bad. It's so wrong. I'm so principled. And then now she's going, Venezuela? Y'all say something about Venezuela, man? I don't even know nothing about no damn Venezuela, bro. I don't know what. Tulsi Gabbard took one look at the news station and what Trump was doing in Venezuela, and she said, she got out of that bitch faster than Speedy Gonzalez, dog. She said, what? Trump's doing what? She hasn't been seen. She hasn't been seen in public. She hasn't been heard from. She hasn't been seen. She hasn't released a fucking a tweet. She hasn't released a text. She hasn't done fucking Morse code. She's been nowheresville since this happened. Gee, I wonder why. Could it be because your whole fucking career is undermined? Could it be because it is very obvious and apparent that you're totally vapid, totally vacuous? There's nothing at your core. You believe in absolutely nothing. By the way, guys, let me just say, I knew this is who Tulsi was a long time ago before most people. Why? She fancied herself, I'm the anti-regime change person, the anti-war person. And then as soon as Joe Biden pulled out of Afghanistan, and then a bunch of chaos happened as a result of that, this was her moment to shine, to go out there and actually double down and defend what Biden did and say, look, however bad it is now, it'd be worse if we stayed there and spent trillions more dollars and lost more Americans and killed more innocent civilians. She was nowhere to be found. So Biden actually did the thing that Tulsi said she wanted a president to do, and instead of defending it, she was gonzo because he was getting heat from the media and Republicans and even other Democrats. And she was like, I'm not going to put my political ass on the line, even though I've been begging for this to happen. It was like me and 3 other people in the country defending what Biden did. Because I actually mean it when I'm fucking anti-war, unlike these grifters. All right, more. Elon Musk, February 2025, quote, America should mind its own business rather than push for regime change all over the place. Elon Musk, January 2026, quote, congratulations, President Trump. This is a win for the world and a clear message to evil dictators everywhere. Okay, I literally don't know how these people sleep at night. I literally don't know. Let's watch some of this.
I think some of the things we're doing also will be hopefully helpful to other countries, because with the new administration, there's less interest in interfering with the affairs of other countries. I think a lot of there's the times the United States has been kind of pushy in international affairs, which may resonate with a number of members of the audience. And I think we should, in general, leave other countries to their own business. And basically, America should mind its own business, rather than push for regime change all over the place.
Oh, wow. Interesting. Congratulations, President Trump. This is a win for the world and a clear message to evil dictators everywhere. He's replying to the White House that says, Nicolas Maduro is on board the USS Iwo Jima. God bless the United States military, he tweets. Yes, now I love regime change because I'm a little bitch and I want more subsidies and I want more tax cuts and I want to be reinvited to Mar-a-Lago. That's right. All right, more. Here's Tim Pool. Here's what he said in 2019. Ending private prisons, ending the death penalty, and ending regime change war. That's just his top 3 issues. Now he says, the U.S. economy is about to boom. Tons of free oil heading our way. Oh, my God. Which, by the way, that's not even how this works, Dippy. You're a grown-ass man. How do you not know that when fucking ExxonMobil's profits or Chevron's profits or Citgo's profits or BP's profits skyrocket, that means fuck all to you. It is not going to improve your life in any way, shape, or form. This is great for corporations. This is great for billionaires. This is great for the Wall Street vultures who profit off of misery and death, who pillage and loot. This in no way, shape, or form is going to help you or me or a random grandmother in Cleveland or Tuscaloosa or anybody across this country. Please. How do you not know this? So I'm against regime change war too. Yay! Free oil! The U.S. economy's in good shape because we just did another war crime. Hooray! Oh my God, man. Oh my God. Here's Cat Turd. After Trump overthrew Maduro, Venezuela is now more free than New York City. What did he say before this? Name one U.S.-inspired regime change that hasn't ended in absolute disaster. So when Trump would virtue signal like he's anti-regime change, I'm also anti-regime change. As soon as Trump does a regime change, yippee skippy, I love regime change. These people believe in nothing. Imagine being a grown-ass man and being this much of a simp to your cult leader daddy. I actually don't get it. How do you wake up in the morning? How do you tie your shoes? How do you brush your teeth? How do you take care? Because obviously you clearly, genuinely and sincerely believe in nothing. All you do is take marching orders from Trump. When you were a fucking toddler, you would take marching orders from your dad or your mom. Don't you understand that that's embarrassing? Don't you understand that that's pathetic? Don't you understand that that makes you less than? Do you not get that? Still not done, though. This idiot Joey Manorino, he said, they need to take Maduro and his cabinet out today and not make this last long. Take them all out at once and move on. Then go do the same thing in Cuba and then go home. Guess what? Here's what he said. On June 21st, there will not be a regime change war. Mark that down. There will not be boots on the ground. Oops. Tee-hee-hee. Well, now I love it. Now I love it because my guy did it, so it's good now again. All right. Here's Alex Jones. Nobody has ever been more washed than Ozempic Jones. By the way, the other day on Twitter, he literally used a CIA-created Amazon TV show clip to argue the necessity of illegally overthrowing Maduro. He cited a CIA-created Amazon TV show clip to be like, do you idiots not even know about geopolitics? Look at this CIA-created clip, which explains my position well. Weren't you the guy who said the CIA's full of shit and these fucking people are the criminals and they're the problem? Now all of a sudden, since it's Trump, do you love him? All right, ready? Here's Alex. And what does he do here? He fantasizes about how much money the big corporations will make taking over Venezuela. And he fantasizes about how much money Jared Kushner and Ivanka Trump and Barron Trump, the kids, will make off of Venezuela. Watch this.
If Trump didn't leave the government in place, it's been oppressing people, but still has the infrastructure, it would descend into total collapse. He's got to get the infrastructure turned back on, crank up the funding. He can get these big corporations to commit to go in with major aid projects, major hiring projects. That's what Trump does. He's a hospitality guy. He looks at that and goes, God, we can build a lot of Trump towers and golf courses down there. And he wants to have his kids down there after he's dead in 10 years. And there's just Trump towers everywhere and golf courses, and everybody's filthy rich. And there's, that's what Trump likes. He likes golden toilets and jet airplanes, and he likes seeing nice neighborhoods and happy people, and because they come into his hotels. I mean, it's a normal, actual view. The globalists are feudalists, though. They're feudal lords. They want you poor to control you. That's the Great Reset. That's their operation. So at first, in the middle of the night after the attacks happened, a few hundred would show up here, a few thousand there. Then by dawn, you can hear everyone celebrating from their windows and screaming and celebrating.
As we covered, that's a total fucking lie. Total lie, total misinformation, CIA bullshit, regime change propaganda, complete psyop. Nobody has ever been more washed than this man. What Trump needs to do is you got to get the big corporations in there, and then what Trump wants, he wants a bunch of golf courses, he wants casinos and hotels, he wants his kids to be able to profit off that. How are you saying this out loud and not realizing how fucking evil it is, right? Again, the guy who in the late 90s and early 2000s was saying, they're going to create a giant surveillance state, it's going to be spying on everybody, they're going to create a blackmail file on you, they're going to take away all your rights, you're going to have a billionaire class is going to invade whatever country they want, overthrow whatever government they want, steal all the natural resources, you're going to have no freedom, you're going to have no liberty, it's going to be horrible. Now all that stuff is happening, but since he's friends with Trump and friends with Peter Thiel, now he supports it. Oh my God, so embarrassing. But I'm still not done. So Disinformation Tracker says, as Asmund Gold viewer says, his premature celebration of victory over Venezuela mirrors Americans who celebrated victory in Iraq when Saddam was deposed, only to spend decades in a brutal and expensive war. Asmund Gold has no response, quickly bans the viewer and calls them a bot. Oh boy. So let's see what he's saying.
Yeah, somebody says, this is Iraq all over again. What happened to object permanence? Let me ask you something. What about this makes you think it's like Iraq? Saddam deposed quickly? So, wait a minute. So your logic is that because we got this guy quickly, it's going to be like Iraq? Like, I'm not even really sure exactly what you're trying to say. U.S. doomed to spend 20 years? We got ourselves a bot, bro. We got ourselves a bot going in here just saying the same thing over and over and over.
So anybody who disagrees with regime change, here's the mission accomplished thing, by the way. Anybody who disagrees with regime change propaganda suddenly is a bot. All right, so what else we got? Asmund Gold used to pretend he was against regime change and foreign intervention. He was a no new wars. We have our problems here guy. Now he supports occupying Venezuela to take their oil and calls those who oppose it un-American, unpatriotic, and pro-dictatorship. Iraq 2.0. Here we go.
These are people like, it's like that guy, right? The guy was like mainly joking around, fucking around about how like, I don't care about Russia, Ukraine, or whatever. But like that essence is accurate. I think that's the way that a lot of people feel, is that they don't give a fuck about any of these countries because they can't afford food. They can't afford rent, right? And so when they see that we are signing up, we are basically writing a blank check to a foreign country to help them fight off Russia, this is going to rub a lot of Americans the wrong way, because Americans want the American government to operate in their best interest. And I understand that you can maybe make an argument that like foreign, diplomacy and foreign intervention has like a long-term positive impact, but that argument doesn't work on a person who can't afford their rent. It just simply does not work on them. These are people.
Well, that guy sounds super reasonable. Let's see what he sounds like now.
Like, here's one thing I'm going to say, okay? Don't ever let anybody tell you that you can't do it. Because if you went on Twitter, everybody was saying, this is against international law. You have to wait for Congress. We'll read the Constitution.
Oh, my God.
Or you can't just do that. That's illegal. It's a war crime.
And obviously, all those people are wrong because I just made a silly voice. Meanwhile, how quickly do right-wingers go to constitution humping when they think it suits their argument, right? Argue for any sort of mild regulation on guns. It's the Constitution, the Second Amendment. Now, when like it is actually crystal clear in the Constitution that the president can't just do war willy-nilly on his own, that you need a declaration of Congress, and all of a sudden he's like, oh, that doesn't count. It's incredible, man.
You know what Trump did? He just went in there and did it. That's it. It's over.
Oh,
just like what happened with Iran.
That's it, guys. It's over. That's it. It's totally over. By the way, imagine him saying this if China or Russia or Iran kidnapped President Trump, right? And carpet bombed Washington, D.C., the capital, like we did to Venezuela. Imagine that happened. And, you know, the day after, 2 days after, we're sitting there. We don't know what the fuck is going on. Would this be his reaction? Oh, it's over. They did the thing. It's over. Now don't even think about it. Like the ability of people like him to just flat out dehumanize people in other countries as if they don't count, as if they don't have rights, as if they're not people, will never not astonish me.
What happened after Iran? Nothing. Nothing happened. Because the fact is,
they didn't even fucking destroy the nukes. Trump illegally bombed Iran, the Fordo facility. The nukes are still totally fine. If anything, you just gave Iran justification and a rationalization to actually get nukes. They had a nuclear program, but they weren't building nuclear weapons. Now they'd be stupid not to build nuclear weapons because they got bombed by Israel and the U.S. So, yes, that was stupid. Yes, that was bad. Yes, that was wrong. Yes, they illegally murdered a bunch of top government officials and failed to take out the nuclear program. What part of that is good? Never mind the violation of U.S. law. Never mind the violation of international law. Never mind being a fucking Zionist puppet to Netanyahu, the genocidal psychopath.
Is that if you have, here's the truth, if you have power and you have the ability to exercise that power through force, you are God. That's it. Nobody can tell you no. Nobody can resist you. Nobody can try to hold you accountable. You can do anything and everything that you want.
Forget World War I, forget World War II, forget the Geneva Convention, forget the Nuremberg Tribunal, forget international law. You know, he acts like there was no logic or rationale or reason for this international framework and structure that we made. What happened was people looked at the corpses of millions of people post-World War I and World War II, and they said, we should avoid that ever happening again. How do we avoid that? Oh, I know. Let's have some rules of the road that everybody has to agree to, that we all have to abide by in order to prevent mass death and destruction. He looks at that, he goes, I don't give a fuck. Might makes right, baby. Law of the jungle. If I'm powerful, I'm God. This is a child's way of thinking. This is a child's way of thinking. It's the year 12 theory of politics.
And there's nothing that anybody can do about it. And so always keep that in mind. Always keep that in mind that there is a way. Do something. Yes, keep the same energy. Absolutely. And so why not go and do this in Minnesota? Like, I mean, if we can do this in Venezuela, I'm not saying we should bomb Minnesota, right? I don't think that we should do that. I mean, I know that people might not like Minnesota, but I don't think that we should bomb Minnesota. But I do think that there are other ways that we could solve some of the problems over there, right? White women mauling on Twitter. Exactly. See, if Trump would do this all the time, I'd probably vote for him a third time. Like, this is what we need. We need to do this like once a week. Like once a week, we need to go and like figure out who's going to get blown up today.
Jesus Christ. Hassan was totally right when he described Asmongold as like, this is the low IQ version of Trumpism. It's somehow even lower IQ than Trump himself. And this is unfortunately what 35% of the country slobbers up. Is just the dumbest person on the planet going, based, based, no matter what Trump does. Illegal wars, fucking kidnapping and abducting sovereign leaders, openly saying, we're going to have the oil companies go in there and make trillions off of Venezuela's stuff. And say, he owns you, bro. He got you, bro. Like genuinely short-sighted, narcissistic, idiotic men making the dumbest decisions you've ever seen. And unfortunately, there's a big market for that. But this, as Crystal said the other day, this makes me yearn for the days of the intellectually rigorous debate leading up to the Iraq War. That's how fucking off the plantation we are now, dog. That's how fucking gonzo we are mentally now, is that you look back and you're like, shit, at least Dick Cheney and George, at least they tried to make an argument. At least they bothered to lie to us and do 2 straight years of propaganda trying to convince us that Saddam Hussein was a threat to us. Now, we get some, unshowered freak boy sitting there lecturing us about, you're God if you have a lot of power. Like, Jesus Christ, sounded better in the original German. Einstein von Schlagenfagen Newton. Why don't you fucking goose step and zig heil as you say that, you freak? Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ, man. It's just so crazy. It's just so crazy. If any other country did what we just did, everybody would call them a rogue regime. Everybody would say they're the problem. They need to be fucking arrested. They need to fall in line. We need to make sure nobody ever acts like that ever again. It's completely, antisocial, sociopathic behavior as a country. But we do it, and it's like, based. Like, just amazing. It's just absolutely amazing. But anyway, there you have it. You got all these It's so crazy. All these right-wingers who virtue signaled, like, we're the anti-war people, how quickly they're all like, yes, war, we love it. It's so crazy. But then again, nobody should be surprised. These people have always been full of shit. And they just already did this with free speech. They virtue signaled like they were the big pro-free speech people. And then what did they do? They were cheerleading as 600 people got fired for making Charlie Kirk jokes in the wake of him getting shot. They were supporting a whole bunch of pro-Palestinian, anti-Israeli genocide people who wrote op-eds critical of Israel. They were supporting them getting deported or them getting disappeared or kidnapped by ICE Gestapo thugs. So, yeah, nobody should be surprised. All the people who proclaimed they were the biggest free speech people turned out to actually be the biggest free speech haters. They support Donald Trump, who tried to ban flag burning, which is literally against the First Amendment. There's like an actual case law Supreme Court decision from the 1980s that says that is free speech. Trump shits all over that, and they still support Trump. So they never supported free speech, and they never were anti-war. They, like, no matter how much time goes by, the right always collapses into the same bullshit. It always collapses into they're fascists and they're warmongers and they suck off the billionaire class. No matter how the branding shifts over the years, when push comes to shove, they always revert to their original and true form, which is all of that, which is, of course, not only the death of this fucking country, the death of the world.
Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.